So let's just start. Let's just breathe a bit tonight as we get started here. And we'll just see where the night goes. Isn't it wonderful being perfect? Isn't it such a beautiful thing? So now you are perfection in bodily form. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's so good. We live in a time where, and really honestly, this has been going on for thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years, but we like to make complicated the simple. I've often said revelation is far too simple for the mind to comprehend. True revelation is far too simple for the mind to comprehend. It's quite a fascinating thing to watch scholars and theologians and philosophers complicate the very very simple revelation or realization of who we truly are. Because really honestly, let's face it, at the core of who we are, at the core of what we all are, it's so simple, isn't it? It's so simple. And the life that we've been spoon-fed as reality, it's kind of been slipped over our eyes, has complicated so much. But the more that these things get stripped away, and this is what this class is all about, is just stripping away little by little the things that we're hanging on to, the things that are covering up this most effortless being that you are. Because what we all are is really just that. It's just being. Absolutely easy, absolutely effortless. No pressure. Nothing to carry. Nowhere to be in a hurry to get to. If you really think about it, everything that has complicated our existence comes from the system that we live in, isn't it? comes from the system that we live in. That's all. And if you're able to recognize that, it quits getting so complicated. Because you won't take so seriously the thing that's complicating, or that is complicated. You won't take so seriously the system. Instead, you can play in it, you can enjoy it without getting lost in it, without getting wore down by it, and exhausted by it, and confused by it. Consider for a second, at every time you've ever felt late for something. Why did you feel late? Because the system you're in is governed by this linear timeline. Says that this is how it works and you're supposed to be on time. Were you taught by your parents to always be early or always be at least on time? Some parents teach to be on time is to be 10 minutes early, sort of thing. And isn't it nice when we can all be on time? It's wonderful. Like, if you haven't agreed, set upon time, to show up on time, it's great. It's wonderful. It can be an act of honor. But when you get your panties in a bunch because you're not on time, now you've let a system cause you some frustration. You let the system that you're living in cause you some irritation. And so there's an enormous difference between living in that thing and playing within that thing and operating, if you will, within this world system and allowing it to dictate to you or to us how we feel, what we're experiencing. And ultimately those philosophers and theologians and scholars are not very good at actually practically living out the things they talk about. Because it's so complicated, you can't possibly live it out. I know a lot of people who talk about nothing, but they sure are something. You know, like they're not living as nothing. They just like to talk about nothing. There sure are something. You know what I'm talking about? You guys with me? It's so easy to be nothing. It really is honestly easy to be nothing. When I was doing a podcast with a guy, he actually just released it today. It's a podcast is called Sophia. It's with a man named Andrew who found me online and asked if I would join him on his podcast, and so I agreed to. And it's just really honestly like a chill conversation. Or you're just hanging out more or less is kind of the way it ended up flowing. But some cool things I think were said. But he asked me, he opened up by saying, well, I just want to open up by saying, who are you? You know, this age-old question that we've all been exploring and searching. Who am I? He said, so who are you? And I said, I'm really nothing. Like, I just am. I'm just here. Because it's funny how we hang on to titles, isn't it? Titles and labels and ideas, concepts. We become these concepts. The moment you become a concept, things become very cloudy. The moment you become a concept, things become very confusing. So he was reading off on the Instagram the various things. He said, well, let's see here. It says you're a life artist and a cosmic actor, a self-realization teacher. And so I told him the story about how Austin and I were flying from Europe. We were trying to come up with a name for me, some sort of title for me, just so that I didn't go, when people asked, what is it that you do? Or what do you know, because whenever people ask, what is it that you do? I would always respond with, well, right now I'm flying on an airplane. You know, and if they would ask me what do you do, you know, and I was just sitting talking to them, I was like, right now I'm just talking to you, and they're like, no, like for a living. I'm not doing anything for a living right now, just talking to you. And people don't like those simple answers. They think they're pretty dumb, but I think it's kind of silly to complicate things. I actually find it simple-mindedness is actually way too deep for the for the human mind and its Adamic state of consciousness. We like things, the past mind likes things complicated. It runs around carrying the weight of 100 titles and labels. Think about all the division that has happened over the years over simple labels. Simple labels. Man and woman. Simple things have caused so much trouble, hasn't it? And it's really kind of funny when you look at it. It's, you know, Stephanie, it's amusing, like when you think about all the things that have caused such societal uproar has taken place over such silly concepts like, I'm a man. What does it mean to be a man? Or what it means to be a woman. Or, you know, I'm a man who's attracted to females, and what it means to be attracted to females, or what it means to be attracted, and like the uproar over these things, and we hang on to these things like as identities, and it's quite silly. And it's the way our society has worked for so long that if you profess to be slightly different than the rest of society, they look at you quite kind of as an outcast. They view you as quite the weird one, you know. Just tonight, my aunt, who I guess I saw her about a year ago, but she came into town. I had an aunt and some cousins and another aunt and uncle. And anyway, we were just hanging out, playing some cards and eating some dinner and things. And she said, she doesn't have she said, well, she said something about, I said, well, what have you been up to? And she said, I just work all the time. And I said, oh. And she's like, well, what do you do? And I was like, I do nothing most often. And oh, you don't work? No, I can't relate. Like I don't really work. It's not something that I do. And she can't comprehend what I'm saying. And so when I'm going to leave, she says, where are you going? I gotta go. I'm going to teach a class. What do you teach? Oh, I talk about doing nothing. Because isn't that, after all, really what I'm talking about? Each and every class, what I talk about more than anything else is about you being nothing and about how you can do nothing, like me, and enjoy every minute of it. And by do nothing, I simply mean you can do something or you can do nothing. It doesn't matter. I believe it was Winnie the Pooh that said, the best somethings come from doing nothing. What a wise little bear that was, huh? The best somethings come from doing nothing. It's amazing how much you can get accomplished by doing nothing. I would dare say it's amazing that how much more you can get accomplished by doing nothing. And it's really easy to do nothing when you are nothing. But when you are something, it's very difficult to do nothing. When you are something, when you have hung on to a title, a label, a concept, and this is what you are, it's very difficult to do nothing. Because that something, after all, is built around the principle of doing somethings. Who it is that you believe that you are is built completely around what you have done or what you will do. Isn't it? Isn't it? One of the problems that we face, I'm going to open up for some questions here in a moment. One of the problems that we face is that nothing is so simple, Kevin, that it's very easy for that nothing to get clouded by something. It's very easy to be confused, to get confused by all the somethings by all the doings, by all the activity and the things going on around you. It's very easy to get sucked into that system where you're working so hard. It's very easy to become imprisoned in the thing that you do instead of just enjoy the thing that you do. Like I told Austin all those couple years ago when he started with me, when you stop enjoying it, you have to stop. And we go through various moments of our existence where you'll like to do something for a minute, and you'll be doing that something. If you hang on to that something as an identity, it'll feel awful painful when you pull away from that something. But if you can simply recognize that doing that something isn't what you are, it isn't who you are, it isn't where you find any sort of identity, it just is, then it's really actually quite easy to let go of all that and to just be. Here I am. This moment's good. That thing that I was doing, I'm not doing. And I like not doing. So it's good. I don't know if you can hear what I'm saying, but the moment you identify as doing something, you're getting stuck. Have you ever felt stuck before? One of the easiest ways to get stuck is to accumulate knowledge for the sake of accumulating knowledge. Because we like to hang on to what we've accumulated. It doesn't matter what we're talking about here. We like to hang on to what we've accumulated because in some way we feel our identity is attached to these things, this knowledge that we are accumulating, what we know. And we live in a society that rewards that. When was the last time you saw a job application open up and that job was searching the classifieds and they said, we have a job to do nothing?
Yeah, people wouldn't last doing it.
Now the person can't last on it, can they? The person, what we believe we are, if you're hanging on to beliefs, doing nothing seems miserable. And by doing nothing, I don't actually mean sitting in some sort of pile without thought and just in some sort of state of meditation. Don't confuse what I'm saying. When I say do nothing, I just mean you can do anything or nothing or something or whatever, but it's coming out of a place of flow. It's not coming out of the grind. It's not coming from a place of have-tos, or I'm being dictated to by money, or I'm being dictated to by my family, or by the system that I'm living in, or by others to be viewed in a certain way. My brother told me tonight that they were buying a house, and on the one hand I'm proud of him. He was a drug addict for many years, and on the one hand I'm proud of him that he has a family, he's got a wife and 3 kids, and that's awesome. And he's buying a house, and that's good. But it's funny how we are in this system, how we look at home, even just home ownership, the idea of home ownership. It's like, yes, you finally accomplished that home ownership. I've owned a home. I didn't feel any better about myself owning a home than I do when I was homeless. I didn't feel any better about myself than I do renting. And some of it makes financial sense. I get that. My only point is that in some way home ownership is praised in our system because it is, after all, part of that American dream. And it's just to get caught up in the system, you're kind of stuck. And we get deeper and deeper and deeper into the system of doing. You can't not do. Otherwise you won't be able to have this or that and get that thing. It's quite amazing to me how we have complicated things so much that humanity genuinely thinks that they're working very hard right now for a future moment. And the truth is that life is always and only right now. Everything that is life is what is being experienced right now, in and all around you. There is no life anywhere else. You'll never experience life tomorrow. You know why? You know why you can't experience life tomorrow? Because the moment tomorrow comes, it actually is my favorite day. It's called today. The moment when tomorrow arrives, it's no longer tomorrow, it's today. And today is always my favorite day. So let's enjoy. Let's enjoy today. Let's enjoy the moment we're in. And that's really honestly what essence is all about. We just are being without all these mental attachments. And what we'll find is along the way that you'll find that so many of these attachments and concepts and ideas get stripped away, and there's these little ones that are kind of hanging out, and they kind of nag you from underneath. They kind of hang out, and you sink this deeper, you sink deeper and deeper and deeper, and the deeper you sink into that present moment, into this reality of what and who you really are as this Christ consciousness, the more you notice the little tiny incremental things that get removed, it gets stripped away. It's kind of like when you're carrying 1,000 pounds and somebody takes away 1 pound of weight. When you're carrying 1,000 pounds of burden and somebody comes and they strip away 1 pound of the burden that you're carrying, it's not that noticeable. When you're carrying 1,000 pounds of burden and somebody strips away 500 pounds, it's very noticeable. So noticeable, in fact, that you might run around with just that 500 pounds and be like, I'm free, not even realizing that you're still carrying half the weight. And then somebody else comes along and they strip away that 490 pounds and you really honestly aren't even noticing that 10 pounds. But the deeper you sink, the more you notice the little things, the little tiny bits, the little pieces, the incremental realizations that really impact and affect us, change us from within. So my heart in all of my classes, but especially here in this Satsang, is about doing nothing. It's about being nothing. And about how successful you can be at that. What if our society changed, where instead of thinking in terms of rewarding all of your efforts and all of your work, we started rewarding rest. And I don't mean laziness, I just mean rest. If our society lived from a place of flow versus a place of stress and the need for. Wow, what a different world we would live in, huh? But see, we've been in a system for so long that teaches to be a success looks like this, and these things, that making money, helping your community in whatever capacity that looks like, and so on and so forth, these things look like success. And my heart is, while those things might look like success, all I'm saying is that we can learn to do those things from a place of rest, and then you're not in bondage to those things that look like success, but instead you're free. So you're free to play within that societal system and enjoy that work, that thing that you're doing, whatever it may be, whether that is working at a homeless shelter or working a job and simply contributing to the societal economic system. All of it is beautiful and easy and effortless because it comes out of a place of joy and bliss and satisfaction instead of a place of identity. Because the moment we begin to identify in these things is the moment we actually become captured by them. The moment you identify as something, the moment is the moment we begin to judge others. Identity always leads to the judgment of someone else. In some way. Judgment might not even be noticed by you. Again, if you're used to carrying around 900 pounds and someone frees you of 850 pounds, you probably wouldn't notice the other 50 very much. If that's what you were used to, isn't that right? But that other 50 pounds is still there. And from that place, we still make lots of judgments. Just unknowingly we make those judgments. And so we're here, and I'm speaking to those that have been with me for quite some time, that have been a part of classes long enough that we can talk about these things, kind of fine-tune, if you will, this vehicle of expression that is your body and mind, so that we can enjoy the wholeness, the whole part of it. Because being is easy. Being is effortless. And if it's complex to you in any way, shape, or form, if you are tired in any way, shape, or form, if you feel burdened in any way, shape, or form, then you have not let go of all of the burdens yet. There's still something we're hanging on to. And so we're here to let go of all of the burdens, to truly be free. To truly be free. You are the free one. The free one doesn't manifest in a bound up body. But again, I say this, the simple mind, the simpleness, this simplicity is very easily clouded. Is really easily clouded. And in comes even, you can take even what I'm saying, and in comes this, what feels like some sort of depth, feels deep, and it can be like, oh, well, am I in bondage or am I not in bondage? And then you begin to overthink these things, and you start to really think about it, and you're going back and forth in your intellect about whether or not you are or are not in bondage, or what you need to do to be free of that, or did Silas really say I'm... And this is not what I am not saying these things for you to think about and get all caught up in your mind. You don't need to do this. Matter of fact, do the opposite of that. Just hear, just listen, just hear. You are not the one that's ever been in bondage. And if you could truly just be here in this moment, you would not carry a burden. If you were just truly here in this moment, there'd be no burdens. You would never even acknowledge a burden. You would wake up when you woke up. And you would play with whatever it is that you chose to play with, the world being your playground, without fear, without worry, without stress, without thinking so much. It would just be. See, truly deep things are far too simple for the mind. The deeper you go, the more simple it becomes, not the more complex. Deep things only seem complex to a mind that is taking them literally. Deep things only seem complex to the mind that is caught up in doing. They say, well, if what you're saying is true, then what about all these things that I've done? Or what about all the things that I want to do? And why would I want to do nothing? And the mind goes on making complex what is very simple. What if you just were? What if you were just here in this moment, enjoying the moment? What if your mind didn't work linearly anymore? And this is where the mindfulness classes come in, because we're programming, we're changing the mind, renewing the mind, where it doesn't work linearly anymore, where we can change it so that it works eternally instead of linearly. What if the mind truly wasn't, you are here and there's truly not a linear timeline. Your mind wasn't looking ahead or looking back, but you were truly here. The mind never not going anywhere else. You want me to tell you what you'll find there? As the more that the mind enters into this state of existence, into this eternal thinking, way of thinking, you know what you find there? You find perfect bliss. You find bliss. There's nothing but bliss there. And that's when it no longer matters what situation or circumstances around you. You can truly, I look at people, Austin and I, in one of our travels recently, just to use a personal example, I say recently, I think it was a year and a half ago or something, but we were in Florida, and in Naples, Florida, and we were just chilling. We found a spot. Actually, we had a few things that we were supposed to be doing. He had a few administrative things he was supposed to be taking care of, and I had some administrative things I was supposed to be taking care of. And so we found this spot to park right under these beautiful shaded palm trees, these beautiful king palms, I think is what they're called, and it was such a beautiful spot right on the beach. And you remember that spot? Yeah, that was incredible. And just these white sandy beaches. It was perfect. We didn't get any work done, Dean. We sat there high, just enjoying the beach, and we didn't get any work. We didn't get any of the things that we thought we were going to get done. We literally just parked there all day. We just sat, and I would go out on the beach and walk along the beach up to the pier where they had bathrooms. And so on one of my little walks up to the bathroom, actually on two of them, but I walked up to the bathroom and I heard a man on the phone. I'm sitting there just blissed out by the beauty of this blue water lapping up on this white sandy beaches, and I was just absolutely mesmerized. It was really enchanting to see, just to enjoy, and I was just enjoying the moment, just enjoying the beautiful people that were walking along. And noticed a man who was on the phone, and it sounded like he was on the phone with, it looked like a very successful, this is what he looked like, but I overheard his conversation as I was just sitting there watching the scene. He was on the phone with what sounded like, I guess, somebody that was investing money for him or something, and he was just going on, and it was very intense, stressful conversation about investing this much money, like lots of money into this thing, and no, it should have been invested into this stock or whatever. And he was just pacing, and I thought to myself, whew, I'm so thankful. I would hate to have all that money and then be so poor that I cannot enjoy this moment. I used the bathroom and I wandered back up the beach, back to our spot. I don't know, an hour or two later, I went to use the bathroom again. He was still on the phone, pacing. I don't know if he was talking to the same person, but still on the phone, pacing, dealing with whatever. And I went, man, oh, good gracious. Man, how sad that is. How sad it is to take trivial things like money so seriously. I've never had much when it comes to money. But that's not what true wealth is. That's not where true wealth is found. You see, when we make the world around us a complex place, when we get in our mind too much, and instead of just playing the game that you're playing, you get too serious about it. That's when you start pacing. That's when worry and stress and anxiety set in. It comes from linear thinking. So as the mind is renewed, you're freed from that linear thinking. You're just here in the moment, enjoying the water lapping up on these beautiful white sandy beaches again. Enjoying the moment you're in and the people that are around you and the beauty of the moment. And so I've said this before, and I actually heard Andrew in the podcast actually reflected it. He said the same thing, and I've said it before. You can be in bondage. You can be imprisoned while sitting on a white sandy beach in some sort of tropical location. And you can be completely free while sitting in solitary confinement. You can live in perfect bliss in solitary confinement in a hole in the ground somewhere, or you can be in absolute misery sitting on the beach. Your circumstance truly, 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 when you understand what I'm saying and simplicity overtakes you, your circumstances no longer dictate to you. Your bliss This is the place called nirvana. Nirvana just really means any place that's full of bliss. Or Eden, which just means pleasure. This is that place. That place is all around us all the time. It's only a matter of whether or not you can see it. Because the mind that's been programmed to think linearly can't see it. Cannot see nirvana, cannot see Eden. It's all around you. It sees based on circumstances whether or not things are good or bad, right or wrong, good or evil. And this comes from too much thinking. Too much thinking. Trying to be something that you're not. See, being when you just are, you are everything. I am can be anything and everything in every moment. I am this. I am that. But the moment you identify, you limit yourself. I am a man. This is a powerful state of vehicle of expression, a beautiful thing. But the moment I identify as a man, I limit myself. I am an engineer. This is incredible, just to be an engineer. But the moment you identify, you limit yourself. Do you understand? Because this divine being isn't one thing or another, but it is the space in which all of these things unfold. Play in those things. Don't identify in them. Now, this is obviously easier said than done for the mind that's been so programmed to live the exact opposite way. Our minds have been programmed. We've been actually taught, trained by our parents to be something. When you are a boy, if you have a penis, then you're told, be a man, learn to be a man. And if you're not manly, it wasn't, I'm not even saying it was on purpose. Obviously, my parents didn't want to train me to be in bondage. My brothers didn't want to train me to be in bondage, but I had 3 brothers. And obviously, we grew up where if you weren't tough, you were a sissy. If you were a sissy, you are no good. Right? Boys are supposed to be tough. And we would fight and wrestle. And the point was always to get to the top, to be the best, to be the strongest, to be whatever. And the thing is, if I always felt less than manly if I got hurt and quit. So what did I do, Dean? I played through countless numbers of injuries that I really honestly right now wish I had not put my body through. Because my body, what 12-year-old is jumping from 30 plus feet just to beat his older brothers in a competition? I'm talking about jumping off the very pinnacle of our 2-story house, which was close to 30 feet. Who's doing this? Why? I mean, think about what that kind of pressure landing from that high up does to your knees. You know, it could not have been good for my knees, right? Playing on countless numbers of sprains and injuries just to be a man, just to be manly. If I didn't do it, you sissy, you're just a girl, you're just a sissy. And I felt like I wasn't good enough if I didn't. So what? I did it, of course. They didn't mean anything by it. They just felt like if you had a penis, you were supposed to be this and not that. You weren't supposed to express sensitivity. Haven't men been trained to not be so sensitive? How many times I wasn't taught this as a child, thank goodness. But I know a lot of men that were taught, men don't cry. Don't cry. Suck it up, you don't cry. Get over it. Suck it up. You don't cry. Oh man, what a sad day. If you want to cry, then cry. If you feel like crying, then just let go. Some of you, even in your bliss, need to cry. Sometimes it is a blissful thing to cry. Sometimes I laugh so hard I cry. Sometimes I just cry because I'm overwhelmed with compassion for someone. Sometimes you just want to cry just for the sake of crying. You don't have to overthink it. If you feel it, then do it. Why are you thinking so much about why am I crying? I shouldn't be crying, or I should be crying. Just cry. If you want to laugh, then just laugh. We don't laugh enough. Laughter is one of those things that releases all kinds of beautiful endorphins in your brain and really make you feel good. We don't laugh enough. Because we've been taught we're supposed to take things seriously, Stephanie. Be serious. This is a serious world we're living in. Once you reach a certain age, you're not supposed to play anymore. It's about work. It's about being serious, not about play anymore. Haven't we? Yeah, we have. And that's okay. We're learning to play again, aren't we? We're learning to play again, aren't we? Yeah? We're learning because you know what the effortless thing is for every one of us? The effortless thing that we want to do is just enjoy whatever it is that we're doing. This is effortless. And if nothing is happening, then we enjoy that too. The thing that all of us want to do is just play. Have you bought into the lie that it takes money to play, and so you work really, really hard to get the money to play? It's okay if you want to do it, but if you actually believe that you have to do it to play, then you find yourself in bondage, don't you? Working for a day that is not, because you think in doing so you'll eventually find your happiness. Happiness is never found one day. You'll never find what you're looking for in tomorrow. What you're looking for is only found right here, right now. Right now you can find your bliss. You right now in this moment is perfect happiness, is absolute ecstasy. That ecstasy isn't found tomorrow. Joy isn't found tomorrow. It's always found in the here and the now. But when we identify, the thing that we identify as or believe we are really feels like it needs to, it's working, it's been working so hard that we need to see the end product of our work. So instead of working just to work because you enjoy working, now you're working for an end goal. For instance, the vast majority of us work knowing that at the end of that pay period, that week or 2 weeks, we will receive a paycheck. And so you're working, but you're working for an end goal. Not just to work. Not just to work. Now it's wonderful if that's a side benefit to your work, but the truth is, can you recognize with me that what if you were to work just because you enjoyed working? What if we could shift our societal way of thinking? What if we shifted our thinking? What if there was enough beautiful beings awakening to the simplicity of being to the degree that we could shift the entire societal way of thinking, where you would do things because you enjoyed doing them. You would do work because you enjoyed work. And instead of even needing something in return, we were just sharing in all things. Wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't that be beautiful? One of the most beautiful, one of the most wild things is, I know this for a fact, that as we awaken to the truth of who we are, we will once again discover that there is not one need amongst us. But as long as we go on hanging on to our individual identities, there will always be others in need. The problems of the world only exist because we've complicated things. It's only a problem because we've complicated it. And so we're here to let go of these things little by little and learn what it looks like to sink deeper and deeper into this state of nothingness, away from these burdens, away from these cares, away from these worries, away from these stresses, away from these anxieties, away from these societal boundaries and walls and imprisonment that we've lived under, away from this weight. Because those things are really just self-created. That's all they are. That's all they are. So all of this being said, I just want to open up for questions. I want to open up and see if there's any kind of dialogue, anything in your mind, anything in your heart that you want to maybe, any questions you want to ask. When I say ask questions, sometimes you guys, your statements are questions. And it's hey, I've been noticing this, or I've been seeing this, or I've been feeling this. This is oftentimes really a question. We just don't know how to put it into words. And that's okay too. So just want to open up for you guys to have an opportunity to share or ask questions. And so I'll just open the floor up to you guys. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yes, sir. I've been observing situations with me that I know are good, but they're not what I want. I'm not getting certain responses the way I want. I'm not, and it's weird because it's stuff that sometimes that you should actually get a response for normally, I guess. And there's other things, maybe not so much. But the way I perceive it is that, you know, God, what's happening, the vibration that's going on is supposed to be happening. It's not like God's doing a super special spiritual thing to get my attention. What I believe is happening is I'm to get my attention to say, you know, you're in this moment and keep your vibration high. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I want to go within and bawl, cry just because I want to be, you know, I want to get an ego, lavish my ego, or I don't know, maybe I can do that, maybe not, but I want to keep my vibration high, and say whatever happens is supposed to happen, and it's perfect. It just seems weird, though, because at this time of my life, things are happening just abnormally. You know, they seem to be very abnormal. And I'm not saying that I'm Mr. You know, fit in the mold. I'm not that way, but so my question to you is it good? Is it still all good? You know, yeah, I'm on the right track. Yeah. So what's happening is supposed to happen, and you know, just neat, because it's a strange time, and yet it's a wonderful time. It's just very awkward because, like you said, society wants us to have an agenda. They want to say, "What are you doing?" You know, this, and this, and the stuff that I'm doing is wonderful to me, but it's not maybe so wonderful to other people, which can be a good thing. So I don't know. I'm mumbling on. So what? You know, is it all good? That's my question.
Yeah, this is funny. It seems to only it only seems to be no good when we overthink what is good, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like if we just stopped overthinking, stopped thinking so much, and just started being, and not worrying about what was or what will be, but instead really just be in your moment, be here in this moment, you know, and leave leave the weight of yesterday and the weight of tomorrow. Leave it in its non-existence. Why bring it to life by thinking?
Yeah, and so, what does the universe think about that? How does God look at that? If I'm doing what you're doing, if we're doing that, how does God look at me? Does he look at me from inside out? He looks at me from all different directions, but what is he thinking like? Like, is he thinking like, Kevin, you're so different from before, or I'm super in love with you, or am I overthinking that too?
Yeah, it's funny. It is funny how personal beings create a personal God, and personal thinkers, those with brains, when we identify as having a brain, or I should say this, when we identify as being a brain, then we make God out to be a brain that thinks about lots of things. And even if you were to take the Bible literally, you would have to understand that the Bible never says God is a brain anywhere. It does say things like, I know the thoughts that I have towards you and that sort of thing, but God is spirit. And spirit is much more awareness, and you are spirit. And you are in no way, shape, or form separated from God. See, the only place judgment happens is in the brain.
Yes. Yes, sir. And I know I was hung up on the personal thing with God and Jesus, Holy Spirit. I was so trained in all that. And I'm coming out of that. I said, God is he's so special. I put him in my pocket, carry him wherever I go. Just like that. And I'm not.
God became a heavy weight you had to carry, didn't he?
Yeah.
God became a burden almost that you had to carry.
Yeah. And it's changing, but it's a constant. It's a weird thing. It's just different. And it's good though. I can't describe it.
Yeah, that's the best thing. The things we can't describe are the best things. Oneness. I do my best to try to paint pictures for you, but I fully realize that, and I hope you do as well, that thing that I really want to communicate is not intellectually able to be communicated. Oneness is something that is no way that the independent individual self can recognize oneness. It's only as that self is dissolved that oneness is realized, And the self, I think about the moment in 2010 when I laid in bed at 2:30 in the morning and oneness overtook me. Union, true union. I would call it union at that moment in time in my life more than oneness, but when it overtook me, and realizing that that I and the Father were one, truly realizing that we were one, and that there was zero separation, never had been, where it was no longer a thought or some sort of theological principle or philosophical concept, but it was my reality. And that reality came with loads of bliss for my mind and body. Came with so much bliss for my body that I couldn't function, my God, I wish I could have functioned more in my mind. I would have bought adult diapers and wore them instead of pissing my pants so much. I could have had at least diapers. But see, I wasn't thinking clearly anymore, and that was the best part, is that my thinking changed. My thinking was being constantly interrupted. And then I noticed was anytime I got in my mind, I would feel separated. And I hated that feeling of separation. Once you touch bliss, you never want to touch anything else. And I would realize in every single one of those moments when I started thinking too much about something, whether that was some sort of theological concept or some sort of philosophical thing. And so in those moments, I realized that that was work. Thinking and overthinking and being in any state of being where I wasn't fully aware of the union that I had with the Father, fully aware of this bliss in bodily form, this ecstasy, fully touching and being swallowed up by this nirvana, by this state of bliss. Even if I was anywhere else, if I was experiencing anything but this, and still to this day, if I was experiencing anything but this, I know it's not real. It's just in my mind. I know it's just that I have allowed my mind to wander about and begin to complicate what is ultimately extremely simple. Oneness is simple. It's only complicated to the mind that has only seen through duality, through a dual lens. When a mind has never seen, when you grow up, you're born into a body, and that mind from day one is seen through a dual lens. Me and you and me and mom, me and dad, me and my brother, me and my sister, me and my friends, me and the world. It grows up and it actually believes that this is reality. And so then we're brought into a religious system where we say, I have a spirit. I have a spirit. I am spirit, soul, and body, but I have a spirit, and my spirit is one with God. And that is such a farce, such a blasphemous statement to say, my spirit is one with God, as if you possess or own some sort of spirit. You are not a body with a spirit. What silly boys and girls say they are bodies with a spirit. It's the spirit that gives life. The flesh profits nothing. And yet what we've done is, instead of just listening to the simple words of Jesus and recognizing that he was given those words to us to transcend the complexities that we've been so caught up in, instead we take them and that's just too simple, and we run them out trying to create some sort of mystical prophecy, some sort of mystical system in which if you do this you can get to here and you can ascend through the ninth gate of whatever to enter into the heavenly bliss, and all of this nonsense, when in actuality letting go of all of these complexities, of all of these thoughts and concepts and philosophies and theological works, leave us in a perfect state of bliss. Because when nothing else is left but God, there you will find yourself, your true nature. And it's so easy. So easy. You are spirit animating a body. You are not a body possessing a spirit. So enjoy. Enjoy. You are here. You are not going through anything at this moment, Kevin. You're just here. There's nothing awkward about this moment. This moment's good. I think the question humanity needs to ask themselves is, are they tired of being unhappy? And they need to quit lying to themselves that all of the things that they've added to themselves are making them happy. Isn't it wild how people still actually, they'll talk about not needing to add to themselves while still actually believing that if I could just get this or that, that would make me happy. And it does, but for a moment. But for a moment. What I'm wanting to introduce is perpetual joy, eternal happiness. That's what perfection is. Perfection exists in the simplicity of the tree of life, not in the complexity of all of the complexity of the tree of good and evil. So would I say it's good? Yes, I would. I would say it's perfect. I would echo the words that we spoke when all of creation was emanating from our existence, when we looked out over all the things that have been born into the earth and we said, it's good. And I would echo the words that we spoke when we manifested in the person of Jesus on the cross, when he looked out over all of creation and said, it is good. And it truly is. The situation doesn't matter. The circumstance doesn't matter. What's going on around you? You see, I don't find things awkward. Others might. I'm just not thinking about them so much that they would be awkward to me. Right? Why overthink? Why complicate what is truly simple? I find that when people typically say deep, what they mean is complex. When I say deep, what I mean is simple. What I'm saying is only hard for the mind that lives in duality to comprehend. But in essence, it's just stripping away all of the thought, all of the thinking, just being here. Just be here. Learn to laugh again, learn to play again, learn to see things through the eyes of a child. Oh, look at that puppy, he's so cute. Look at that little puppy dog, and the puppy licks you. He's such a... You'll hear me talk in the most bizarre ways to animals and children, and look at you, little baby, you're good baby boy, you're good. And you just find yourself laughing and just playing, and then you look up and all of the serious people are looking at you with cross eyes like, what are you doing? You're a full-grown man acting like a 2-year-old. Yes! Yes, I am. But I wasn't even acting. I was just being. Do you ever laugh just to laugh, or do you need something to laugh at? When was the last time you went, Oh, man. Because I'm telling you right now, sometimes I can't help but just as I'm walking through this earth or driving down the street, just to start hooting and hollering at how hysterical it all is. Dean, it's a game! People are taking it far too serious, and I laugh when I see them taking it far too serious. That makes me laugh. Yeah. And when I see people playing, that makes me laugh. It's all a bunch of laughter. This is what the Bible means when it says that God laughs at his enemies. It's not his enemies. They have made him their enemy in all of their systems and overthinking and complexities. Just to laugh. Just to laugh. Just to be. How easy it is to be. How hard it is to be something. How easy it is to be. Nothing is easy. Something is hard work. And so you see, when I say do nothing, be nothing, I'm not talking about being lazy or doing nothing. What I'm talking about is effortless flow, effortless activity, effortless and joyous doings. I find that I'm doing this because it's good. I'm here, it's coming out of me, and it's beautiful. As opposed to I must, I have to, I need to. What I've found for me is it's not even so much a want to anymore as much as it just is. If it's happening, great. I don't need to want to do something or not want to do something. As I often say, I'm willing to try anything twice. What is it? Just doing, just effortless doing. Anyone else? Any questions? See, it's in these classes that I'm pointing you. And like the mindfulness classes is where we start to work on, and I say work, but it's probably not the best way, start to play with transforming the mind so that it works in effortless rhythm. It flows in effortless rhythm with spirit, where the mind is just kind of the pawn. It's more like water instead of a fixed thing. It's like water just effortlessly flowing. Some of you think, you hear what I'm saying and you immediately think, well, how would that impact my life? And when you say my life, you start to think about the future, about how other people would handle you, about what that would look like at your workplace, or what that would look like with your family, or how your friends would associate. Well, what would that look like for me if I were to do this? And even then, you're missing the now. And thinking about what will be, you're missing the bliss of this moment. Oh, it's so simple. The best doings come from nothing. People say to me often, well, why did you do that, Silas? I don't know. I have no idea why I did it. Listen, I want you to understand. This was extremely difficult for even Beth to grasp, who's lived with me, done life with me for now going on 21 years or some odd mess, where we've been experiencing life together in some capacity. And even for her, it's been very difficult. Even up to the last handful of years, she would say, I don't get it. Why did you do this? Like, why are you doing this? Or like, why is this happening? Or if we were to talk about doing something, whatever that was that I had done, she would ask about my day, and I did this. I would respond. I would talk to her about something that I did, and, well, why did you do that? And I would say, I didn't have a reason for doing it. It just happened. I just found myself there. It was just happening. Just kind of the moment unfolded. This is what took place, and it was great. It was beautiful. It was, so wonderful. But like, you weren't thinking about like wanting to do something or having, like, there wasn't a reason. You didn't have a reason for doing this thing. Like, you just did it. That seems odd, Silas. She would even struggle with it literally up until the last handful of years. And more than ever, she's at a point where she just doesn't even ask, where she's just like, oh, you did that. Okay, fine. Or this was because I told her, I've told her many, many times, Dean, I would say, what I'm doing, I don't ever have an agenda. Really, I don't have a thought. Like, why am I doing this? Or should I do this? Or should I do that? But instead, things are just happening. Things are just happening. They're just emanating. They're just coming out of this state of nothingness. And I find that I'm expressing them in this bodily form. And it's beautiful. It's wonderful. And, but there's no agenda. There's no point. There's no reason. I don't need a reason to be. But we've lived in a society and a culture that we've been trained that we need a reason to be. That we need a reason for everything that manifests. For everything that we do. What if you let go of all of your reasoning? You only have reason. Reason only comes in that place of reasoning. In that place of thinking too much. Anyone else? Any thoughts or questions?
Have you ever read Albert Camus?
I've not.
Well, there's a line in the book called "The Stranger." It's the first line in the book. It says, "Mother died today, or was it yesterday?" And then it goes, he was an existentialist, is what they called him. Yeah, he was flirting with these ideas. Maybe not from the same, coming from the same background, or I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just thought about that.
Yeah.
That quote always stuck in my mind because it's like, what?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's... Go ahead.
But they made it work out of being existential. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all ideas end up becoming, that's the thing, like...
Right.
Anytime philosophers are often not very good at the thing they philosophize about,
Yeah.
They complicate what is ultimately very simple, and even though it's like overthinking something that's simple makes it hard. You've heard the story of the centipede and the centipede and the frog. The frog asks the centipede, "How do you walk with all of those legs?" And the centipede responds, "I don't know, I've never thought about it." And the frog says, "Wow, it seems so hard. It seems so complicated. It doesn't make sense to me how you would walk with all of those legs." Then the frog decides to move on. And as the frog moves on, the centipede decides it's going to continue his journey, and then realizes, as it stumbles over its own legs, "I've forgotten how to walk." Begin to think about which leg goes first and which leg comes after, and tripped over its own legs. It's amazing how when we think about something too much, it becomes so complicated. And we've created this system in which everything is complicated. Systems of claiming people and things as our own instead of simply enjoying the moment that we're in, whatever that might be, whatever shape that might take. That's beautiful. It's truly beautiful. To be present isn't an idea, it's the absence of ideas. And I don't mean, when I say these sorts of things, obviously to be no-minded is wonderful, to be simple-minded is beautiful, it's ecstatic. And yet, to be simple-minded, it doesn't mean that you can't have big ideas, and it doesn't mean that you can't play in the world of intellect. It simply means you're no longer identified in the world of intellect. You're no longer allowing the world of intellect to define, to shape, or to ultimately identify you. Instead, you are playing within that world. You've, after all, manifested and animated this brain. You might as well use it to its full capacity. But what I'm saying is ultimately it's unbinding the mind that's been limited. The mind is always limited in identity. The more you think about a thing, the more complex becomes the problem. I think about the movie Patch Adams. He's in the mental institution, put himself into the mental institution because he was very depressed, suicidal, puts himself into a mental institution, but he was a very smart man. And there was a mad genius that was in there, a mathematical genius that was also in the mental institution with him, and he was fascinated by how the mind could be so ingenious and yet so mad at the same time. But the man wouldn't have any kind of conversation with him. And Patch, for those of you who saw the movie, you'll know the scene. Patch walks up to him and starts to introduce himself, and he goes, 4? He goes, how many fingers am I holding up? And he puts his hand in front of his, and Patch goes, 4? And he goes, 4? No, that's a horrible answer, 4? And Patch is just like, oh my God, this guy's psychotic. Later on, Patch, from a humble posture, goes up to him when he's in his room and says, what's the answer with the fingers? And he goes, I'm not talking to you, kind of thing. And Patch notices that his coffee cup is leaking, and so he takes a sticker and he puts it on the bottom of his coffee cups and he fixes the leak. And so the man notices this kind gesture and decides he's going to have a conversation with Patch, and he says, give me your hand. How many fingers do you see? And Patch goes, well, there's 4 fingers. He makes well, there's 4. And he goes, yeah. Anybody can see that. Anybody can see that there's 4 fingers. But how many fingers do you see? And Patch is going, what in the world? Like, I have 4 fingers up. But he kind of looks cross-eyed at the fingers, and he just kind of looks at him and he goes, 8? Because as he looks cross-eyed at him, they kind of multiply, and he says, 8? And he goes, yes, this is a great answer. This is a good answer. 8 is a good answer. And his only point was such a simple one. It seems possibly quite insane, and yet absolutely simple, effortless, absolutely easy. And that is this: when you overthink something, it becomes very difficult. And that man looked at Patch and said, the solution is never found in looking at the problem. We've been using our intellect, and we've been looking at the societal world problems around us. And we've been looking at the problems, trying to fix them using our intellect, but the solution isn't found there. When we stop thinking so much, solutions come effortlessly. To look at something from the same angle that everyone else is looking at, you'll never create something never seen before. You'll never be able to offer somebody a different way. And the way to bliss, the way to joy is quite simple. It's the simplest of ways. It doesn't require you to think a certain way or not think a certain way. It just simply requires you to yield to all that thinking. Just stop all the thinking for a moment. What you'll find is bliss. Stop thinking of yourself. What you'll find is bliss. Today is the best day. It's my favorite day. Today. It's always my favorite day. What day is it? Today. Yes. Stephanie got it. Today. And today is the best day, isn't it, Stephanie? People say, oh, it's Monday. How you doing? It's not bad for a Monday. And I go, oh, is it Monday? I just thought it was today. It's a lot of thinking going on, trying to figure out whether it's Monday or Tuesday or Thursday or whatever. Not just today. Today is the best day.
How about the best day? What was the show about? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Now let's be one race and stuff.
Every day. Best day of my life, right? Best day of my life.
Yeah.
Every day.
Which is just today expanded, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Every day is always today. Yeah. I can't really hear you at all. It's very hard to hear you.
Don't worry, every day is the best.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
When I was in the rest, yeah, the whole condition, I thought that they're just so happy. And they just, it's so, you know, I get they're more staying than we are. I can't live there. I mean, oh my God, I didn't believe them.
I can't really hear what you're saying, but it's great, I'm sure. It's really broken. Like everything that you're saying is really broken, but I'm feeling it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It was good. It was good what you were saying. I could only hear about 25% of it, but it was good. Could anybody else hear what they were saying? Or is it broken? It was broken. Yeah, something on the audio on your end. It was hard to hear. But it's all good. It's all good. Well, anyone else? Anything on your mind or heart? Any questions before we wrap up this session? No? Okay. All right. Well, beautiful. Well, since we're finishing a bit early today, for those that are going to join me in the next class, let's try to be back right at 9. I'll do my best. I'll be back. I'll actually log on pretty soon, but we'll try to get started right at 9. So awesome, man. Love you guys. For those that may not join me over in the next class, I love you so much. Talk to you soon. Good night, guys.